Chapter 31 to 33. Shin raised his eyebrows slightly. The child floating before him didn't seem to recognize them. Otherwise, he wouldn't dare to address the highest gods in the universe in such a tone. Hey boy, do you realize who is standing in front of you? You actually dare to address us in such manners. Kibito's eyes widened instantly. This little guy dared to be so audacious in front of Supreme Kai. With a towering height of 2 meters and a stern expression, he tried to appear intimidating. Let it be, Kibito. He's just a child and doesn't know our identities, Supreme Kai reminded Kibito. As to him, those who don't know are not guilty. How could I not know you? Goten glanced at the two of them, then spoke quickly. Aren't you the Kaishin Shin, and isn't he your attendant, Kibito? Okay, please take me out of this place quickly. I really don't want to stay here anymore. Although these two figures thought of themselves as very imposing, and when they appeared in Dragon Ball Z, they were full of style. But their grandeur lasted for only 3 scenes. A demon king, Dabura, almost scared the two of them to their wits' end. After Majin Buu broke the seal, he almost frightened Shin to death. To be honest, as the top god in the universe, it was indeed quite embarrassing. What? Hearing Goten reveal their identities so calmly, Shin and Kibito were shocked. A mere child wandering around in the space would know the existence of Supreme Kai. And it seemed that he knew both of them completely, which really made them feel incredible. How do you know? Shin looked at Goten in disbelief. He knew that among mortals, not many know of the existence of Supreme Kai. But this child was so confident, it was unusual. There's so much more I know. Goten continued to speak impatiently. Can you take me out of here quickly? You can ask whatever you want after we leave from here, and let me eat something. Shin immediately tried reading Goten's thoughts with mind reading. But unfortunately, he couldn't use mind reading to know what was going on in Goten's mind. He was unable to read any of his information. This only added to his disbelief, as mind reading was a Supreme Kai's special ability. It was really weird that he couldn't read any information about the kid in front of him. This kind of thing had never happened before. Boy, since you know that standing in front of you is Kaishin Sama, the highest god in the universe, you should pay attention to your tone of voice. When speaking to Kaishin Sama, maintain due respect. Just when Shin was very surprised why he couldn't read Goten's mind, Kibito on the side said to Goten with a serious face. Since the kid already knew that a Supreme Kai was in front of him, it was really unreasonable to use such a tone. Seeing Kibito's serious expression, Goten's face also changed slightly. Then his body suddenly flashed and appeared behind the two of them, like a ghost. With both hands on their shoulders, a faint tone sounded from behind. Hey, I've been wandering in this boring space for a whole week, and I'm a little irritated now. Please don't force me to beat you. Hearing the voice behind them, the two were shocked. Kibito's forehead also broke out in cold sweat instantly. At that moment just now, he didn't see clearly how the boy appeared behind them. This speed was too fast. The two looked at each other, and they could see the shock in each other's eyes. Kaishin Sama. This guy is definitely not an ordinary kid. Kibito spoke to Shin through a special sound transmission method. Yes, his strength is very strong, perhaps surpassing ours, Shin also replied to Kibito immediately. Then what do we do now? Take him to the God Realm. In this way, we may be able to find out his details. The two communicated through sound transmission. Eventually, Shin decided to bring Goten to the sacred realm of Kai first. He felt that Goten seemed harmless, and there was no evil energy in his body. A mortal child actually surpassed them in strength, which really made him unbelievable. So, he was very curious about who this kid was. If he could bring him to the sacred realm of Kai, maybe this problem would be clarified. Kibito nodded. Immediately after that, he cast the Kai technique. Whoosh! The bodies of the 3 people faded for a moment, and then disappeared from the place in an instant. When they appeared again, they had already arrived at an emerald green planet. At first glance, it was full of verdant vegetation. This planet was very similar to the Earth. Sacred Realm of Kai? Goten looked around and immediately recognized this place as the God Realm, because the God Realm had appeared several times in both Dragon Ball Z and Dragon Ball Super. Okay, now can you tell me who you are? Why were you wandering in this space? Also, where are you from? After returning to the Sacred Realm of Kai, Shin turned his head, looked at Goten, and asked, Certainly. By the way, I'm very hungry now. Can you ask him to get me something to eat first? Goten pointed to Kibito and said. Kibito's face darkened immediately. He was a Supreme Kai's attendant. Now he was actually asked to help a mortal prepare food, which was really outrageous. What's even more outrageous was that Shin nodded and then said to Kibito, Kibito, go get some food. Kibito, although he was very upset, he must follow Supreme Kai's orders. While Kibito was preparing the food, Goten also introduced himself. Although he had the strength far beyond Shin and Kibito, But this guy in front of him was also the most foremost authority in this universe. While Shin was a little timid, but at least he had a good heart. My name is Goten. I am from Earth in the Northern Galaxy. As for why I am wandering in the universe, Goten didn't hide anything and told the story of killing Broly himself. It was no secret at all, so there was nothing to hide. Wait, what? You are from Earth? Shin was stunned. The Earth from the northern quadrant of Galaxy? Isn't it the planet where I hid the sealed Majin Buu magic eggs? And that legendary Super Saiyan Broly was likely to be the culprit who caused the destruction of countless planets in the southern quadrant of Galaxy. Goten-san, in that case, we owe you a great debt of gratitude for dealing with Broly. Shin began, his tone filled with sincerity. You've saved countless lives in the Southern Galaxy from extinction. On behalf of the survivors of the Southern Galaxy, I thank you. Shin adjusted his demeanor and expressed his gratitude, adopting a different tone when addressing Goten. Additionally, he began referring to him as Goten-san. In a world where strength was respected, power could represent everything. Although Supreme Kai was considered a highest deity in the universe, Shin's strength was rather average. Therefore, it was only natural to show a certain amount of respect for a powerful individual who had aided the universe. You should indeed thank me. After all, what I did is originally what the Supreme Kai is supposed to do. Goten replied directly, not mincing his words. Given the strength of Shin and Kibito, even if the two of them fused together, they wouldn't be a match for Broly. At this time, Kibito served a few dishes. They were strange in shape, looking no different from the beasts in Mount Paozu. Goten finished quickly. Although the taste was poor, after starving for a full week in the space, he wasn't that picky anymore. The taste is average, but at least it was filling, Goten said after wiping out all the dishes on the table. Compared to his mother's cooking, it was a world of difference. These words made Kibito's face darken even more. Goten-san, there is something I'm unsure whether to mention or not, Shin said awkwardly after Goten finished eating. In fact, Majin Buu had always been his problem. It could even be said that in the depths of his heart, it was like a nightmare. If Majin Buu broke the seal, based on his and Kibito's strength, they would definitely be killed in an instant. And even Babidi, the magician, had some powerful evil fighters under him. He and Kibito were also not sure of victory. The Goten in front of him obviously had more power than them. If they could get his help, maybe they could kill Babidi and let Majin Buu continue to be sealed. Feel free to speak up without reservations. Goten wiped his mouth and said, It's like this. Tens of thousands of years ago, a demon with terrifying strength was born in the universe. His appearance instantly turned hundreds of thousands of planets into desolate planets devoid of any life. Shin began his introduction. Later, 5 Kaioshin went to destroy Majin Buu together, but it was a pity that Majin Buu was too strong, and in the end, the other 4 Kaioshin were killed by Majin Buu. He recounted the whole story about the Majin Buu situation. These words were the same as what they said to Goku and Vegeta back then. He ultimately wanted to relay that the evil magician Babidi had a son named Babidi, who also had magic that could unseal Majin Buu. But he had a group of controlled evil warriors by his side, so Shin hoped to get Goten's help. Only in this way could Babidi be destroyed without any risk of failure, and that Majin Buu could continue to be sealed. Understood. Goten nodded and said, You mean you want me to help you kill the magician Babidi and his puppets? In fact, with his current strength, he could easily get rid of the Demon King Dabura. As for continuing to seal away Majin Buu, he wasn't keen on that idea. He was still holding out hope for Buu's return because that super regeneration ability of Buu was just too good to let slip away. Yes, that's what I mean. Shin nodded quickly. Then he stared at Goten intently, waiting for his answer. If they could get the help of Goten, then it was absolutely no problem to continue to seal Majin Buu. I can promise you. I can even help you get rid of Majin Buu completely. Goten nodded, looked at the two, and said, But I have one condition. What condition? Shin asked quickly. It's very simple for you. You just need to spar with me once. Goten said with a faint smile. Regardless of victory or defeat, I will agree to your previous request. Although the strength of the 2 guys in front of him was indeed average, it could even be said to be weak. But Kibito had 2 very good abilities. The divine skills, Kai and healing. If he could pick up these 2 abilities in battle, it would be very good. If he mastered Kai, there would be no such thing as being trapped in the space in the future. That's all. Shin looked skeptical. Of course, Goten nodded firmly. Then we better not delay it any further. Let's get started, Goten said impatiently. Because he still had the legendary Scion bloodline which he hadn't fused yet. The sacred realm of Kai was a very safe place, where he could be rest assured and start the bloodline fusion process. Okay, then prepare yourself. Shin also nodded quickly. Then he took a fighting stance. This kid's got some nerve. He actually thinks he can take on the 2 of us. He doesn't even take us gods too seriously. Kibito scoffed incredulously. Just a mere mortal. Kibito was unconvinced. He didn't think that Goten could defeat the coordinated assault of himself and Shin. Bring it on. Goten nodded. His expression remained stoic as he swiftly shifted into the Super Saiyan form. Having fully mastered both Super Saiyan and Super Saiyan 2 transformations, there was no need for dramatic roaring or constipated faces anymore. The two rushed over swiftly. Kibito poured all his energy into his attacks. Both his speed and strength were pushed to their limits. Despite launching hundreds of punches, not a single one landed on Goten. He couldn't even touch his clothes. The same went for Shin. Such terrifying strength. This kid didn't move at all, and he was able to avoid all attacks from me and Kaishin Sama. While shocked, Kibito also secretly made up his mind. In this case, I'll use Kai. I'd like to see if you're faster than my instantaneous movements. Immediately afterwards, Kai was used. For a moment, countless afterimages of Kibito appeared around Goten's body. Swish, swish, swish. Punches rained down from all sides, yet not a single one found its mark on Goten. Ding. Congratulations to the host for picking up a divine skill, Kai. Ding. Congratulations to the host for picking up the divine skill healing. Just after the boring battle lasted for 4 or 5 minutes, Goten's face suddenly showed joy. It seemed that this system was really awesome. The probability of picking up good loot was very high. Goten-san, your strength is truly terrifying. Perhaps you could even defeat Majin Buu, Shin exclaimed, his voice filled with awe and excitement. With your help, we might finally be able to eliminate Babidi and prevent Majin Buu from awakening. Although he couldn't even touch Goten's body from beginning to end, Shin was thrilled. He had finally witnessed Goten's power, and his intuition told him that Goten hadn't even exerted his full strength yet. It was incredible that a human could possess such formidable power. He had been Supreme Kai for a long time and hadn't realized that such powerful fighters existed in the universe. Alright, that's enough for now, Goten declared. After hearing the system notification in his head, his goal had been achieved. The battle had become monotonous, and he lost interest. Clenching his fists slightly, a terrifying puff of aura erupted from his body instantly. The powerful airwaves spread in all directions with Goten at the center, sending Shin and Kibito flying. They retreated a distance of tens of feet before they came to a steady stop. They were even more shocked by Goten's power. Just the burst of aura had knocked them back such a long distance. More importantly, they knew that Goten wasn't using his full strength at all. Such power, it's truly incredible. Shin exclaimed, his excitement palpable. Kibito, who had initially been skeptical, was now utterly convinced. Goten had previously come across as arrogant, but they now understood that his arrogance was justified. At such a young age, he had surpassed the strength of the Supreme Kai. Who wouldn't be arrogant in his position? Besides, youth often came with a touch of frivolity. After effortlessly knocking the two off their feet, Goten exited his Super Saiyan form. Goten-san, your strength is truly formidable. Supreme Kai hurried over and asked excitedly. When are we going to Earth? With Goten's help, he was confident they could easily defeat the magician Babidi. In a few days, Goten replied. Your place is relatively quiet. I want to continue training for a few days. It may be safer that way. In truth, he wanted to complete the fusion of the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline here. Okay, Shin nodded repeatedly. Indeed, to ensure we can handle any unexpected situations, it's necessary to improve our strength. The stronger Goten became, the higher their chances of successfully preventing the awakening of Majin Buu. By the way, I don't want to be disturbed during my next training session, Goten added. And things might get a little intense, so you'd better stay away from me. After finishing his sentence, Goten's body jumped and appeared on top of a mountain in an instant. He then sat cross-legged and began to communicate with the system in his mind. System, fuse the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline, Goten commanded. Very well, host. The system responded. Please get ready. Fusion will start in 10 seconds. The countdown began. The moment the countdown ended, a heart-piercing pain instantly spread throughout Goten's body. It felt as if an incomparably terrifying force was swimming through every inch of his skin. The normal Saiyan genes in his body began to be quickly replaced and changed. Goten clenched his fists tightly and frowned. Sweat broke out instantly. The pain was heart-piercing, but he knew that this pain was making him stronger. As time passed, Goten could feel his genes being changed little by little. His flesh and limbs were undergoing a process of being reshaped. This heart-piercing pain lasted for about 20 minutes. Then it started to slow down gradually. The energy flowing in his body also weakened a little bit. However, the strength in his body had increased by an unknown number of times. Goten suddenly opened his eyes, and a low growl began to echo throughout the god realm. Russell, At the same time, vibrant green aura flames instantly rose around his body. Waves of air swept in all directions. Rumble. The entire god realm began to tremble violently. The surrounding mountains began to collapse rapidly, and it felt like the entire realm was facing doomsday. Shin and Kibito quickly put their arms in front of them, but their bodies began to retreat uncontrollably. There were 2 clear marks on the ground. Amazing! What a terrifying power! Shin exclaimed. Is this Goten-san's real power? It's unbelievable. So strong. He had never dreamed that a mortal in the universe could increase his power to this level. With this kind of power, Goten had surpassed the original 4 Kaioshin's. Maybe Goten's power was not weaker than Majin Buu's now. Of course, he was young thousands of years ago, so he didn't truly know how strong Majin Buu's true power was. Indeed, it's too scary. Kibito agreed. It's really unimaginable that such a powerful force is possessed by a mortal. With this kind of power, it was estimated that even if Majin Buu broke the seal, they could deal with him. Rumble. The violent shaking lasted for a minute, and then began to weaken slowly. The hurricane began to dissipate little by little. The ground gradually began to return to calm, and the aura around Goten was not as violent as before.
Ding.
Congratulations to the host. The legendary Super Saiyan bloodline fusion was successful. The system's voice rang in his mind. Did I make it? Goten wondered. Is this the feeling of possessing the legendary Super Saiyan bloodline? The power is so strong that it's almost overflowing. This feeling is so comfortable. Clenching his fist, the power in his body seemed to be gushing out, and Goten's excited body was trembling. One could imagine how terrifying this power would be after becoming a Super Saiyan. Sure enough, in this world, bloodline was the eternal truth.